what's happening, y'all? Welcome back to the Media Goose channel. It is I, the Media Goose, your friend Ryan, and the goose is loose, baby. I'm coming at you today with my first video in a little bit. I've only done Daredevil lately. I had taken a bit of a break after the draft in WrestleMania. I was pumping out a lot of content, so I took a bit of a pause. I'm coming back today with my Iron Man 3 review to start Phase 2 of my MCU review. And just as a recap, I shared this at the end of my Avengers review, but my ranking of Phase 1 of the MCU ended up the Avengers at number 1, Iron Man at number 2, Thor at number 3, Captain America at number 4, what was number 5? The Incredible Hulk at number 5, I'm greened out today, and Iron Man 2 at number 6. And that's not an indictment on Iron Man 2. I actually think Iron Man 2 was a good enough movie. I didn't think it was bad by any stretch. And I think Iron Man 3 was definitely better than Iron Man 2. I think that this is a really unique third movie for a superhero character. A lot of times, the third movie, you're building off contained trilogies. Like the third movie, The Dark Knight Rises, he didn't do a Justice League movie in between those two Batman movies like Tony did. This really isn't the completing of a trilogy of Tony Stark. This is kind of a direct sequel to the Avengers, more than Iron Man 1 and 2. The movie begins in a flashback to 99, and we see Jensen. We see the moment that Jensen referred to when he talked about meeting Tony at a conference, and the fact that he was shocked Tony could speak to somebody, much less give a presentation based on how drunk he was. So I loved that they showed us that moment. Killian in this scene, it was a little like Jamie Foxx as Electro. Like, I don't like when characters go this over the top. Like, he was very like small and nerdy, and he looked like William Barfay. Like, he was a wreck. But I don't want to get hung up on that. It wasn't that big of a moment, but Tony really blows off Killian. He's like making fun of him directly to his face. And then for some reason he teases him, and he like bullies him and tells him he's going to meet him on the roof in 5 minutes. And he had no intention of that. He was clearly going back to that room to have sex. And like, Tony, being an immature young man, comes back to bite him. And then we come present day with Tony. I think the thing that works most about this movie is Tony Stark. It is similar to The Dark Knight Rises in the fact that he doesn't have the suit for most of the movie. Iron Man isn't in this movie that much. Now, I think Iron Man isn't a separate character in the way that Batman is, because Tony's secret identity is revealed. There's no need for anonymity. So it's not a one-to-one comparison, but Tony's not in the suit for most of this movie, which I love, because he ends up saying to Tom Holland in Homecoming, if you're nothing without that suit, you don't deserve it. He didn't have his suit here, and he proves his mettle, and he proves his mettle. He proves that he's a tinkerer, and he's a genius, he's a mechanic. And I really love that about this movie. It's very much a Tony Stark movie. It kind of feels like a fun summer blockbuster, kind of like, I don't know, like a James Bond movie. Or when the credits played, I was like, oh my god, it's Ocean's 11. Like, the credit sequence is very Ocean's. And there's a lot of James Bond to this. I really love it, honestly. This is also the first Iron Man movie where Jon Favreau, Happy Hogan, is not the director. It's Shane Black. And I think I really enjoy the direction of this movie. I think some of the stuff that doesn't work for me, I'm not going to do a full walkthrough of the plot for this one. I think I'm going to start moving away from plot breakdowns and just give like more generalized talks about the plot of the movie and give more of my opinions. I don't want to get caught up on like telling you every beat of the movie. So another thing that really works in this movie for me is actually Rhodey. I didn't love Don Cheadle in Iron Man 2. He was a lot better in this movie. He was kind of like a badass. Like, he's a military man, so he has training, obviously. He's not just like a walking one-liner like he kind of was at times in Iron Man 2. But I think Rhodey actually worked really well in this movie, and I really loved seeing Tony and Rhodey like working together. That was really great to see. I loved seeing Tony break into the Tennessee, that like AIM outpost in Tennessee. But Shane Black has some great action sequences in this movie that I really enjoy. The first one is the Chinese theater. That scene is really great, where Happy, he's like an undercover tailing somebody and he gets too close. He tries to casually bump into the guy that... So Killian has AIM and he has like 2 security guards. He has one main security guard who is like throughout this movie. And he gets up in Happy's face, and Happy doesn't know he's enhanced with Extremis. And the guy that was doing the drugs, he causes that explosion, and Happy is like within an inch of his life. And at that point, I think we see Happy sees the Extremis agent like crawling out of the rubble. So you know that Extremis has made these people essentially super soldiers. And another cool thing is Pepper, when Aldridge makes his like handsome return, he's like, "Oh, look, I'm suave, I'm debonair." Pepper calls that out. She's like, "I see what you're saying. I also see something that is highly weaponizable." And the fact that she sees that is awesome. Killian also totally tries to like manipulate Pepper like he's the smartest person in the room because he's a man. When he's like, "Well, there's a new CEO and a new genius in town who doesn't have quite as much of an ego as Tony." He like tries to Jedi mind trick Pepper, and she's like, "Yeah, it's gonna be a no, dog." And what I think might be the most effective part of this movie for me is Tony having PTSD. It is so beautifully executed, in my opinion. The anxiety attacks he has throughout the movie that are triggered by bringing up New York. And that is so smart to do that, because that moment in New York, he accepted death. Like the hero's journey in literature when they're like ascending into the path of heaven. Him going through that wormhole was essentially like him ascending to heaven. He left his life behind to sacrifice himself for that. Like, it was his acceptance of death. And then you live. How do you live up to that? Saving the universe. He saved, well, maybe, no, yeah, kind of the universe, because, I mean, he at least saved Earth. New York was going to get nuked. I don't know that just ends the Chitauri? Sorry. Now that rhymed. I feel like they could just send another horde potentially, or maybe if the nuke had hit New York, maybe Thanos intervenes earlier. I don't know. It's just not like a guarantee that if that nuke goes off, they end the threat. But all of the PTSD stuff, where Tony, at one point, Pepper says, "What is that, like the Mark 15?" And he looks down and it's the Mark 42, because making suits has become his distraction, his tinkering, the fact that he's a mechanic and builds things. It is his therapy right now. And he has a moment where he's brutally honest with Pepper that's really vulnerable for Tony. And it was really cool to see. He really opens up. He's like, I can't sleep at night. I have to protect you, the one thing that matters more than anything. It's very vulnerable and it's just fantastic. And then that suit not attacks, but intervenes in the sleep and like gets involved, and Pepper gets out of there. And I also love that Happy, when Aldrich is there with Pepper, Happy's telling Tony, this woman is the best thing that's ever happened to you and you're ignoring her. That was really great. I loved Happy in the first like 20 minutes of this movie before he got kind of shelved when he got blown up. He was really good at the beginning of this movie. I enjoyed that a lot. Now, one thing I want to say, I was kind of the Extremis thing. When I saw it the initial time in theaters when I was younger, I hated the Mandarin reveal, but I also really didn't like the Extremis thing. It didn't really work for me. It was kind of goofy. I think the moment they jump the shark for sure is when Killian like breathes fire. It was like, what the hell are we doing? Like, these Iron Man movies are typically grounded. They're pretty realistic. And now we got a guy breathing fire. That was like, I think they jumped the shark a bit with that, but Aldrich Killian is pretty good. Guy Pearce, the actor, he's solid. I just didn't think he did a lot to like make the character pop. There weren't that many levels to his character other than like calm, suave, debonair. Deadpool in the Deadpool movie makes the joke, the generic British villain. He was kind of just a British accent away from being pretty generic. But maybe that's the character. This isn't the Wizard of Oz where Dorothy is the lead and she's boring and everybody's exciting around her. Tony is Dorothy and he's the most exciting person in his movie. So maybe it does make sense for Killian to be more level-headed and like, I don't know, kept together because Tony's the chaotic one. And then we get to the attack on Tony's house after the Chinese theater because Tony's now angry because Happy almost died and he gives his address to the Mandarin. And the attack on the house happens, and this was an excellent action sequence. It was really great to watch. The way Tony uses the Mark 42 to like protect Pepper and save her instead of himself was really great. Tony getting buried under the water and then Jarvis taking the glove off and pulling him out was really awesome. It was really beautiful. And Jarvis having more of a personality in this movie, I liked a lot too. And Tony's unconscious. He was underwater. The anxiety thing as well. So when he wakes up, he crashes in Tennessee. And that's where we get the kid that gets involved because Tony has to drag the suit to the garage and we meet Harley. The kid was really good. I liked his performance a lot. I feel like there are some like notorious bad kid performances in history. I like this kid a lot. I love him and Tony's banter. Tony Stark is the one person who will curse at a child. Yeah, dad's walkout. No need to be a pussy about it. Tony! I really enjoyed their dynamic. It was really cute. Tony giving him that piece of tech to protect him from bullies, and then it helps him later. Then we have the action sequence in the middle of the Rose Hill, Tennessee town with the AIM agents. That girl that Tony flirts with at the bar, and then the guy that is Killian's assistant. That all happens. That was pretty good stuff. This movie really, where I said the second movie was very like tonally inconsistent, this movie kind of jumps around, but it feels in line. It doesn't feel like Whiplash tonally. It is Tony Stark and he's chaotic, so the movie has a chaotic nature, and I don't know, Tony just works. His improvs are good. Honey, that could be the name of my autobiography. Like, it all works really well. I feel like my only real criticism is that Killian and his main assistant guy are kind of generic. They kind of remind me of like Ajax from Deadpool, like just two guys. I don't know. Um, what else happens? Let's see. Oh, Maya Hawk, not Maya Hawk. Maya, whatever her name is, that underdeveloped character. That character was kind of iffy for me, and then Killian just kills her. It kind of felt like maybe she didn't have to be there. And then we get Tony's like James Bond scene where he breaks into the compound, and it's awesome. It's very much like Tony. I love Tony being challenged to do these things without his suit, and it's really cool. It's kind of badass. It's like a spy movie. I feel like it could have not worked, but it just did, for me at least. And then we get in that mansion, and it's Trevor Slattery. I think the thing they did most wrong was making him the Mandarin. I think they could have made him a terrorist. Everything is fine. The misstep is making it the Mandarin. I make it anything else. Make up a name, make up a character. You do that stuff all the time where you alter things. The Mandarin is the convoluted part of this. And the fact that they put the 10 rings on the Mandarin televised, I don't know. I don't know if that's like the point of it. They want it to be so all over the place that they can't track it. And that part, I don't mind the Trevor Slattery reveal anymore like I did when this came out, but it just didn't have to be the Mandarin. And then we have the great airplane scene where Tony saves everybody that was thrown off of Air Force One. And we have the awesome finale scene. Like, there's not a lot of Iron Man in this movie. And then the final action scene is every suit Tony has. And Killian's fully powered up. He kidnaps Pepper, puts Extremis in her. And it's Tony and Rhodey against all of the Extremis people. And it's a pretty good final battle. As far as final battles go, I really enjoy it. And the symbolism of Tony deciding to blow up all of the suits is really cool, kind of deciding to leave that era behind him. They represent the way he was using a distraction instead of addressing his trauma, so destroy them all. I really love that. I feel like this is a really solid movie. Killian isn't great. I don't think Guy Pearce does anything to like make him a truly memorable villain. But it's Tony Stark. You don't necessarily need that. So overall, I really enjoyed Iron Man 3, y'all. I know that when I was younger and I saw it, I hated the Mandarin thing, but I'm fine with it now. I just think that they would have been smart to not call him the Mandarin, because then fans might not have gotten as mad. They wouldn't have feel like they got bait and switched, or like the misdirect. But overall, I think Iron Man 2 is definitely a step above Iron Man. Iron Man 3 is better than 2, but I don't think I'd put it ahead of 1. Definitely not. But I think right now, I would squeeze Iron Man 3 at least at number 4. I'd put it ahead of Captain America, Hulk, and Iron Man 2. It's just, do I like this more than I liked Thor? I like a lot of the Shakespearean stuff about Thor a lot. I think I do prefer Thor, because there are certain things about this movie I could nitpick a little bit. But the action sequences were really great. I like that Tony had to be his own man. He couldn't rely on his suit and his tech. He had to, build from a box of scraps. And it works. Tony Stark having to get himself out of a corner, and that kid saying, then build something. And Tony just goes, yeah, how about that? I really enjoyed this movie, y'all. When I was a kid, I hated it, but now it's pretty good. So, y'all, tell me what you thought of Iron Man 3. Overall, I think it's a pretty good movie. It's either my 3rd or 4th favorite movie in the MCU at this point. So, y'all, let me know what you thought of Iron Man 3. Stick around on the channel. Make sure you keep your eyes open. I'm going to keep these MCU reviews coming. Thank you for hanging out today. Like, comment, subscribe, join the Goose's flock. The Goose is out.